with another video. Today I have a special guest.
Hi.
Introduce yourself.
You see me in one other video before. My name is Vershana, and we know each other because we went to Spelman together and we were roommates senior year.
Yes.
Friends since sophomore year, roommates senior year.
Yes. And what else? Oh, we also do our podcast together. Nursing Your Soul. And yeah, is that?
That's fine.
Nursing Your Soul. I was like nursing your or our.
Oh no.
Nursing Your Soul. And if you haven't already checked out our podcast, I highly recommend that. But today we're coming to you from a hotel room in DC. We are on our last hoorah trip. Because what's today? The 14th?
What's today?
I start school in officially 2 weeks. So that's super exciting. And then Vershana starts.
I start the day after Labor Day.
Yeah, so pretty soon. So this is kind of like our last chill moment, and we really haven't seen each other since December.
Yeah, when I left.
Yeah. We were supposed to see each other in March, but Corona. But because of
the virus,
we weren't able to go on a cruise, which was probably for the best.
We would have got stuck.
So, anyway, let's get into it. Today we're going to be talking about our experience in anatomy. We pretty much took all of our pre-nursing courses together.
Except
we took a good amount together.
Except for whatever I took after I left. So micro.
Yeah, micro we didn't take together.
I think that was it, micro.
Yeah.
And A&P, we'll get into that in the story time.
So, basically, we're going to be talking about our experience in anatomy and phys part 1. Okay, where do we even start?
Okay, let's first start with how we even got to the point of taking anatomy and phys, where we took it at. So, I think at this point, this is what, junior year, spring semester or fall semester?
Ooh, it was fall.
Fall semester, which I'm glad I took it in the fall and not the spring.
Yeah, because I would have boo-hoo-hoo.
So what had happened was, our school did not offer A&P like at our school. But the way that we worked, we're a university center, so we can cross-register at different schools and the credits still count, whatever. So we kind of thought in our heads that we had no choice but to take this class now, because that spring and going into senior year, we were starting to get our applications together for school.
And sorry to cut you off real quick, but we are super planners, and y'all know this from our spreadsheet videos, and if you listen to our podcast, you know that we are planners. So like Vershana said, we became friends sophomore year, so going into that fall semester of our junior year, we had already researched that our school didn't have A&P, and we were like, okay, well, we have to get these prereqs done, so this is why we went to the other school. And last minute, after we went through the trouble of cross-registering and fighting to be in that class, our institution decided to get A&P.
We were emailing every day, hey, we need this class. We cross-registered for this class first. I think the registrar has said the class filled up, and it's no, the class did not fill up because I'm in it.
They have certain slots for each school to cross register. So it was really from the beginning they were on some weird stuff where they were really playing games, and then even when we got in the class, the professor was like, "You're not on my roll." So
excuse me, sir. Yes, I am.
And he kept trying to play games with us, and we literally had to go to our registrar and have them send them a letter. And it was just chaos.
And that took weeks for us to even be on the roll. He would do attendance and then look at us. I think he called us the twins or something. Yeah. And he was like, "Oh, the twins." And
he did not like us because of the school we came from. Yeah. Let's just be honest.
Seriously.
And it was really just it was. I honestly, when I say that, it was traumatizing, because every day knowing that you have a professor who doesn't really care for you for no justified reason, and then I don't know, knowing that maybe it would have been a better decision to switch out and go to take the course at our school.
And I remember that day, so it wasn't just us in the class. I think there was maybe two more girls from our school, and that day they were like, "Oh no, we're not we're not doing this, we're going to leave. And I think we didn't want to leave. Well, I know for me, I didn't want to leave because I'm like, I just went through all this trouble trying to get in this class. I'm not leaving.
And our schedule is already set. So it was like, if we were going to have to change to whatever course this is, we would have to rearrange our whole schedule. So it was like more of, I want to say it was more of just of like a convenience thing for us, because it would have messed up everything. And at that point in time, I had like, I think I didn't have class before like 11 o'clock, and the semesters before, I had to take 8 a.m.s. I had been taking 8 a.m.s since freshman year, first semester, and so I literally sat there. I would have cried. I literally would have cried. I was like, I'm not taking another 8 a.m. I'm not, like, you know, I like my schedule. It's perfect. So I was like, I'm not changing.
What I think off bat, what really like set me off is, I think education is continuing to grow, and so are the professors within the education system. So if you're not figuring out new ways to teach your students and make it innovative to where they're retaining knowledge, but it's also not deadly for me to pay attention, then something's off. And I feel like this professor, he just wasn't.
He was a tenured professor, and he had been there since the crack of dawn. Like, you know, since the beginning of time. He was, I think they said he was like
one of the founding professors.
Yeah.
The school is not that old, so he's not like croaking or anything.
But it was really just like he had this, you know, mentality of like, it's going to be done my way, and this is the way you learn. And like, if you're not getting it, it's your problem. It's not like my problem. And so like, we would literally sit there and study for hours, and it just was not
working.
Registering.
And it was like, his questions were direct, like textbook questions, but sitting in class was so miserable. It was like, the PowerPoint says.
He would read directly off the PowerPoint.
The PowerPoint says you have 10 fingers and 10 toes, a thumb, a index finger, a middle finger, a ring finger. It was literally like pulling teeth. So come the first like exam, it was just like,
it was horrible. And then, okay, that's really like the foundation of what made it miserable. But luckily, like, we had a lab teacher who was like normal, and he like was just like, if y'all do well in lab, you'll be able to come out of lecture with this grade.
Oh yeah, that was another thing that was different from our school. Lecture and lab were combined into one grade.
Yeah.
And then another thing that set lecture, like made lecture just like, was that everybody in the class cheated. Like, everybody cheated, and he knew.
This is what really gets to me. Like, it really boils my blood, because when we say cheating,
like,
it's
cheating.
Not like,
where's my phone?
It's not like you're cheating like discreetly.
It's like here, these are the answers.
Scroll.
Okay, this Quizlet.
Sis, this is the answer for this. Oh, brother, this is the answer for
like,
this.
Full blown, like, talking.
You have let's say she had her big Louis Vuitton bag right here, her Louis Vuitton tote,
and I have
right here on
too.
the table, right? She would be like this with her phone behind. He would be walking, but just because Rashawn and I were from another institution that he didn't particularly, I would say, care for, and he thought that we were like stuck up and we always had better opportunities. He expects more from us. And so if I were to pull out my phone and scroll, I would have been the first one, you know what I'm saying? And so to me, it just was so upsetting. It was frustrating because I'm putting in the time, I'm studying, but I'm not performing well on these exams. And then you have students where he's like, well, obviously I'm not the problem because the students sitting on this side of the room are getting all A's.
Yeah.
But they never show up to class. So
it doesn't make
sense. It's not adding up.
And I don't want to make this like a complaint fest because we really did study. But some of the stuff that he like expected was just not reasonable. Like, we would have to read 12 chapters by the next class, and this was a Monday. It was every day except Thursday.
Yeah.
And then there would be hundreds and hundreds of questions, but it's just like, you're not giving me, like, I think it's a give and take kind of relationship. If I'm telling you, okay, I don't understand this, provide me with some other methods. You're telling me to come to your office hours. When I go to your office hours, you're not there, or you're keying with the secretary at the front desk. What is he going to be?
Or you're being like, oh, like, I don't understand why y'all are not performing well. Like,
you go to XYZ.
Yeah. So that was like honestly the huge problem that we had. Luckily, like lab was our savior, where like we were able to perform really well. But that's another thing where when we got our lab grades, they weren't very discreet about it. They just pointed it out on a piece of paper, and I'm confused why I have a 98, Bershana has a 98, and everyone else has a 98, but they don't show up to lab, and they don't
not doing anything.
And they're not doing their presentations. So I'm confused why everybody has the same grade as me, but I'm over here hustling and doing what I need to do.
And I think we worked on, so our first lab project, he like assigned us different, I can't think of what it was.
It was like different systems.
Different systems of the body.
Yeah,
so we had the neuron system.
Yeah.
If she can find a picture, she'll
yes.
Because we worked so hard on this neuron system, and then we got to lab and we looked around and nobody had what we had.
They were like, oh yeah, oh we're presenting, and we come in with this huge poster. Overachievers. They were probably like these
girls,
these girls, like really, like you know that
here
person
go these
in class
girls again.
You know that person in class who's like always sucking up to the teacher, like, or it's like, oh wait, we had an assignment due today. Why didn't you ask for us to turn it in? Like, I feel like that's how they felt with us. But it was really like,
and because of the school we went to, that was already worse. Like, oh, that's these girls. They always do X, Y, Z.
Exactly.
But like being realistic, if we were at our school, somebody else, if not everybody else, would have had the same type of presentation.
Yeah. So this is what is expected. Like I'm really not doing anything over the top or above and beyond. And so that was a big issue. I would say lab. We didn't
have
dissect,
lab.
Yeah, we didn't dissect anything, which was just odd. Like he would dissect it for us and kind of show us. It was really like, it just really was not helpful whatsoever.
Like I could have learned this over the internet. There were some days we went and there wasn't lab, and the walk over there, they didn't have the gate open that we normally would walk through, so we had to trek basically over there.
Hike.
Okay, and then I think this is like the turning point in the story. So we come back from, what is that? Fall break.
Yeah, and they were mad because we had fall break and they didn't have fall break.
And we told him, like, we have fall break.
Yeah, we're not going to be here.
And then he was like...
because you came home with me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was like, you guys need to be here. And we're like, we don't go to this school. Like, there's no way we're going to be here and we have a break. Why am I going to stay here for one school?
No.
But, okay, so we left for fall semester. And we did not have a grade. Like, every day, like, checking, like, where's the grade? We're writing emails and nobody's replying back. So the moment we're back on campus, it's like, it's go time at this point. Like,
because this is not just like a grade to graduate, or this is a grade I need to get into nursing school. And so at this point, I'm like,
no, we need to hit the ground running now.
And I remember seeing a girl in our class who was never there. Her and her little crusty boyfriend, they were never there. And she told me they both got a B. And so, why am I chasing you down for my grade? I went to academic dean's office. I was calling.
We went to the registrar's office.
And remember I got into an argument with that girl?
The girl at the registrar's office was trying to tell us what to do, and we're like, we've been through this. We know what we're doing.
And she was a peer, okay? Like, you are the same age as me. You know how these professors are.
You're only making work study.
And she had a little crusty attitude. Like, I don't understand why people have attitudes. Nobody asked you to work.
You signed up for the job. You filled out the application. So
she had an attitude. And I'm looking at her like... And Bershana's looking at me, and we're all looking at her like,
is this for real?
And then she decided to be funny and get her little boss, and then her boss had an attitude, and I'm like, man, everybody I've called told me to come down here.
She's not confrontational, but at that point when she got the boss, I said, I'm about to talk to this lady. So I basically said, look, we've already talked to her. She's no help. These are the facts. You either get me somebody or get me your boss.
Yeah.
Because at this point, we have literally days until this grade needs to be in, and we were so urgent about it because if we didn't have the grade in by a certain time, it would turn into an F.
Yeah, that's what I forgot. That's why we were so stressed. And we were like, okay. And then, this is the killer. We went to our academic deans, and they were like, there's nothing we can do. This isn't in our jurisdiction. Like, so I'm like, so if y'all are going to have cross-registration...
Y'all need to figure out y'all need to get a playbook, a rule book, something.
How are you not going to protect your own students? Like, that doesn't make sense to me. So it was really just a whole bunch of chaos. I said, I will never cross-register in my ever. It was horrible. And I really
literally ever again.
Like, it was horrible. It was really horrible. And when we tell our sisters, like, when they ask us, oh, there's no openings at our institution, there's another opening at this institution, I said, don't do it.
No, find another place.
Don't do it.
Or do it another semester, because everything that we went through was not worth it. Even the grade wasn't worth it. I honestly feel like I didn't deserve the grade that I got.
No.
But at that point, it was so late in the game that I couldn't argue. And the lab teacher, okay, so he was in America for a graduate school program. So basically, like, a stipulation of the program was that he had to teach or work at the college in order to finish his program. So we didn't have our lecture grade and we didn't have our lab grade.
Y'all, because he fled the country. This is why it took so long for us to get our grade, because he fled the country.
So once he finished everything he needed to do, I think he returned to his home country. So there was basically no way of contacting him, because it's like, I've done what I needed to do. I'm about to bounce. I'm out. So we're just like, okay, what do we do? And I think at that point they had just put something in. Or I think they got in contact with him or something.
They finally found his records or something where he was able to where they were able to produce our grades. But I'm like, at this point, you're not about to sit up here and give me a C and give these people A's and B's. We had a conversation with one of our favorite advisors, telling her they're cheating. What do we do? Because we're at the point where this is impacting our grade,
and it's a waste of my time to even go.
Yeah, and she was like, well, you could cross that bridge and tell the professor that they're cheating, or you could just kind of try to figure out what you have to do. And we told the professor,
and that did not work.
He looked dead in our face and said, well, they're going to cheat, but when they graduate, they're going to be working at a grocery store.
He basically said, cheat if you want to.
But, he was like, I see people who graduated with 4.0s and they're working at a grocery store because they can't pass their MCAT. And I'm like, sir, first of all, this doesn't even apply to me. I don't want to take the MCAT. But it's just the standard is just it's crazy to me. And so I tried to appeal the grade, and I was just like, you know what? It is what it is. And I ended up having to retake it to get into, my dream school. But at the end of the day, you live and you learn. And it was a lesson, but it was just too much of a headache.
It was too much going on. So I ended up taking the class over again in the summer. I had a really good teacher, and I had really good, helpful classmates. And I think I ended up getting I want to say a B+ or A, I can't remember. Yeah. But I did very well in that class, and I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah. And shout out to Portage Learning, okay? I tell you guys about this. It's very affordable. I ended up taking my anatomy during my spring semester of senior year. I started right after fall semester of my senior year, and I started, I would say, during winter break, and then finished it mid spring semester, right before we had to come home because of everything. So and I ended up getting an A. I was just so happy because it was self-paced, and I was teaching myself, which was obviously more beneficial than this crazy man who was teaching us. And it was great, and I learned so much. And then part 2 I ended up taking back at my school because they offered it now, and I ended up getting an A in that as well. So we knew that it wasn't us, it was a teacher institution and an institution
it was
problem.
An institutional thing. And the school had I feel like this makes me seem uppity about my school, and I don't care. I'm always gonna go hard for my institution because I know what they instilled in me. But this school that we were at for this class, I think because we were all girls and they were co-ed, and I hadn't been in a co-ed school environment since high school, that when I got there, I was like, this is real high school. The people were cool, but it just felt very high school to me. And their campus was public, so that also made it very high school to me.
It was just on and popping. It was never I feel like when we leave the gates, it's very much a different world. When we're in the gates, yeah, we have certain moments that are chill, but it's very much hustle bustle
all the time.
Everybody is trying to go somewhere. People always say when they see me Niarah, you're always on a mission. Yes, I am trying to get to my destination. I'm trying to get what I need to get done. Because it's a lot of pressure. You're trying to graduate, one, but, you're trying to be successful as well. You see your sisters who are doing, like, amazing things. So, it's a lot of pressure. But when we leave the gates, it was like a whole different world.
It kind of equates to culture shock. Is
literally
is what it felt like. But yeah, I just think, what's the takeaway from this video?
I would say
always advocate for yourself and don't
be afraid. Like, we obviously, like, the way we're talking to y'all is like telling you our experience and, like, telling you how we really felt on the inside. But obviously we weren't up in the professor's face screaming, like, having an attitude, stuff like that.
And it was very respectful.
Yeah, it was very respectful, because that's what you have to do. And even I don't care. I would be a teacher's pet and kiss a teacher's behind to get the grade I wanted. And when I left that class, I gave him a little card. I said, I've learned so much from you. Because, girl, yes, I was really trying to get that grade. I was trying to get at least a B so I could just, have my prerequisite grade. But, you know what I'm saying? Obviously, like, always be respectful. And we were respectful throughout the whole process. I think we were just super frustrated.
Because I knew the kind of learning that I could get done if it was taught to me correctly.
Yeah. And we know the type of students we are. Like, we're not no C students, and we're not,
definitely not no D students.
Yeah, and we're not.
I can't even bring C's in my house, so.
We're not, and not to say, not to say that it was just this institution, like, the reason why I didn't perform well, because at my institution I perform in certain classes, but I always go back to it's the professor. And I feel like when you evaluate how you're doing and you evaluate and you really, like, look deep inside, like, okay, what could I be doing? Am I studying? Am I going on Khan Academy? Am I using, like, supplemental, like, things to help me learn? Am I getting a tutor? Like, we did all of that. And none of it helped. So you have to kind of reflect. And I think that's what we did. We learned from this experience.
Most definitely.
And I think we were able to take some positives out of it. Especially when you can't really choose your professor. This was a situation we kind of, like, planted ourselves in. But, like, in the future for nursing school, we're, like, I know for the first semester, we're not able to pick our own, like, classes and pick our professors, so rate our professor really isn't
an option.
Yeah, rate your professor really isn't an option. So it's kind of just learning how the professor works and how to kind of finesse, I think.
Really, yeah.
Is that everything?
Yeah, that's everything.
So thank y'all for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed our story time. If you have any other requests, as far as a story time, I don't know. I don't think there was any other, like, tragic, like, courses.
Yes, there was.
Oh, yes, yes, there was. Actually, there was, and we might actually film another story time on that. Because I'll tell you, I literally cried. I feel like this other class that I'll leave it to be a surprise. But the other class that we took, I cried every day, and this one I also cried every day. So that being said, thank y'all for watching. As always, please comment below and subscribe, and see y'all soon.
Bye.